Good morning, everyone. My name is Wolmarans, candidate property practitioner at PropWiz. We are today discussing project number 1, which is project knowledge, and the thing that I'll be discussing is property sales. So the first thing that I'd like to say about property sales is the process is working with buyers, sellers and investors, and what you do with those clients is for sellers we do the listing and the marketing of their properties on behalf of the seller or sellers. The other thing that we do with regards to property sales is the matchmaker, something we'd like to say in the office. We matchmake, we put together people and properties. So it's not just about selling a property, it's finding the ideal property for a buyer. And yes, so there's obviously a lot of things that go behind that or with that is about listening, but we'll discuss that a little bit more. The other thing about property sales is providing a service, assistance and advice from beginning to end for both buyers and sellers. Remember, we're not just working with buyers, we're also working with sellers, and that can be anything from finding or selling a property, getting the finance, all the way to registering a property. We will also discuss later the relationship with a buyer or seller doesn't just end when the property has been registered or sold. We do carry on after that as well. And then the other most important thing that I think that property sales requires is knowledge and continuous training, and that's for us to stay ahead of the game. So yeah, PropWiz, we do regular meetings. We discuss properties, product, what's happening in town, in our area, and then doing consistent training, not just training on behalf of what you think. We work with lawyers, we work with other businesses in the area. So it's like I say, property sales is a broad spectrum. I've just mentioned the 4 main things that I think is very important that we do here at PropWiz. So that was just the introduction. The conclusion, or how you incorporate what you've learned on the first slide, is all of these things that I think that I've learned so far that it's important with property sales. To be a successful property sales, these guidelines should be met and exceeded. So we don't just want to do the basic, we also always want to exceed. Is understanding and living the vision of the business, and that starts with our slogan, where we take pride in dedicated service. So pride goes hand in hand with many other traits, traits meaning things. It's not just, such as honesty, friendliness and compassion. So honesty is we're not liars. We don't say things that we don't mean. So when we say something, we actually mean it, so that we take pride in that. Friendliness, we are always positive. So we know clients can be difficult at times, but if we stay positive, respectful, we're building trust and the relationship. And then compassion. Compassion, I think, is very underrated. Compassion means you understand, you're listening, you're taking care of what a client wants. So for property sales, again, it's not all about business. You are working with people. Okay, so I think that's point number 1, that's quite important. The next point for conclusion of property sales is knowing and understanding the client's needs. So that's when I was talking about compassion, whether it's for the buyer or the seller. We need to know what they want and then execute. And very important, we start doing that by listening. So it's all well knowing what property sales is, but the most important key for me is what your buyer or your seller wants. So from there you then build the trust. So trust needs to be so strong with the client or seller, the buyer seller, that difficult discussions needs to be able to, that you can have it with a buyer or seller. So when I'm talking about difficult conversations, like we all know, is someone might be selling a property but it's way overpriced. You need to be able to tell your seller, listen, looking at the comparative market analysis, your property is not in the right price bracket. You need to be able to have those difficult conversations. So that's very important for property sales. Also, the longer that we are within this property industry, we need to know that we can avoid shortfalls. What I mean by that is no shortcuts. We've learned from other businesses that if you take shortcuts, the business can sink. So, taking from what I've said before, being honest, taking pride, having compassion, and also having the knowledge is don't take any shortcuts. And how do you do that? You need to know what the policies, procedures, and the law pertains to property. And like I say, we do that by doing regular training and regular meetings. And when we've got questions, we ask. Then this is more of a soft skill. It's more about know yourself and what you bring to the party, not just to a client, but also to the business. So know your strengths and know your weaknesses, and from there you work on both to always continuously grow. So what I mean by this, especially when it comes to property sales, let's say the candidate property practitioner might be very good with the sales pitch, but it's very bad with admin. So that's why I'm saying your weakness is the admin, but you always need to try and improve. You might be very good at sales, but you mustn't become stagnant, so you must also always try and improve there. Another point that I'd like to talk about property sales is teamwork. So we're just talking about ourselves, but then there's also the teamwork aspect. So as much as we run being a property practitioner as a business for ourselves, there is a lot of strength and growth when working together with a team. So again, talking about our meetings that we have on a regular basis is learning from each other, listening to each other, and then growing your business with each other. And then just a couple of additional points that I'd like to use for property sales in my conclusion is always staying in touch with your clients, not just when the lead comes in or when you're showing them houses, when you've actually signed the OTP, when the property's been registered, always stay in touch with your client. And if you've done that successfully, then it brings you to the next point by growing your own brand. If you've done something very good for a client, if you've sold the property and they were very happy with your service, make sure that they write you a review. You want to be seen as the property expert in your area, and once other people, the general public, sees you as that expert, they're going to start contacting you. You're going to start growing your brand. You're going to start growing your business for yourself and for the company. So I usually call that the snowball effect. The next point, converting difficult clients into happy clients. But as we've also discussed in a recent meeting, sometimes you can't make everyone happy. Sometimes clients can keep you hanging. You also don't want to waste time with people that are, they're talking about, oh, they want to rent, no, now they want to sell, no, now they want to rent again. You need to find a balance. Is the prospect client that you're working with really going to, continue to the sale, as we're talking about property sales? So we don't want to waste time where people are not actually interested. That's why you need to be able to build that trust, find out what are your objections, why are they not buying, why are they not interested, why are they keeping you hanging. Yes, and then the last point that I'd like to discuss in my conclusion for property sales is, if you don't know something, learn to find out where the answers are. So obviously we have our meetings, we're now learning where the reference points are, but it's not just about reference points, it's also which resources can you use. We don't always want to run to our principles, we need to know where to be able to find answers to questions. So as per the presentation, this is our contact details. We are PropWiz. We're located at 12 Wolmarans Road, Bailey Park, Potchefstroom. You can find us on Property24, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. Just put our name in and you'll find us. Some pictures of properties that we're marketing at the moment very successfully: Lukwena, Kariohof, Ehrengracht, Amethyst. And yes, this is our slogan and logo, where we take pride in dedicated service. I hope you've enjoyed this short presentation. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.